Webcards, which is well, he'll tell you. But first, Paul Plant from Radical Consulting is actually going to introduce James, make a few remarks to get us started. So, say hello to Paul. You all can say hello too. Hello, Paul. Hi.
Even when you give people 2 hours for lunch, they're still
right. It's we'll get it going.
Well, thanks for those of you who have come back early, or on time, I should say. I just want, by way of an introduction to this next session, I just want to talk a little bit about disruption. Because we all exist in an industry where I think most speakers have touched on disruption in some way or another over the last couple of days, starting with Panana yesterday morning, and we heard it again this morning. And I just want to put it into context, really. It's only 10 years ago this year, that my old company, Yale Group, where Patana also worked, we spent $3.5 billion in 2007 acquiring 2 directory businesses, TPI in Spain and Transwest in California and Texas. And yet, 10 years, almost to the day since we made those acquisitions, we announced that, I say we, I'm not there anymore, I've not been there for the last 9 years, but I still think of it as we. But Yale announced a month ago that they're ceasing publication of print directories. So it just gives you an idea of the flavor of the speed of disruption in the industry in which we work. To think that 10 years ago, print was still growing, all the investment dollars, and bear in mind I spent 3-4 years in mergers and acquisitions for BT. So the banks only wanted to buy directory businesses. As the old saying goes, the only three certainties in life were death, taxes, and profits in Yellow Pages publishing. It's amazing how that's changed in 10 years. That half the countries in Europe now there are no print directories. And as I say, Yale, which was the second biggest publisher in the world, decided to last month to cease selling print. So disruption is happening all around us. The telco industry that we came from. Disruption, massive disruption in the telco industry you see now. I mean, one of the core revenue streams of telcos, minutes, is pretty much free everywhere you go. And telcos are now investing in content and everything else. So we just have to be prepared for the speed of change around us. And just by way of an introduction to this session and to James is really talking about mobile. The smartphone has changed. The introduction to the smartphone has really changed behavior beyond all recognition. You heard Sandy this morning say that 50% of the population now has a smartphone. And for much of the undeveloped world, it's all very well us from Europe and North America have come through the world of the home PC and the laptop and everything. For 50% of the world's population, their first engagement with the world of online is going to be through a cell phone. And that's really what this session is all about. And if you in the room who are in the publisher community are not thinking about how you make your businesses mobile-centric, then I would say a wake-up call to all of you from this session will be, if you're not mobile ready, then somebody's going to come and eat your lunch for you. And also it's great in the mobile environment to actually have good products that sell, because as we all know in this industry, we've been losing customers for years and years. And I posed the question: when was the last time any publisher in this room sold 3,000 new prospects in just 6 weeks? Because that's what we just did for one publisher in Africa, and James is going to tell you about the product that we did it with, and it's called Webcard by Web.com. So without any further ado, let me introduce 007, Mr. James Moore.
Thank you, Paul. Well, that was a good one. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. So, Web.com, riding the wave of the digital revolution. A little bit about Web.com for you guys that don't know. We're a NASDAQ-listed company based in Florida. We own Register.com and Network Solutions. We've got several million domain names under management. A lot of you guys may get your domains through us already. But the unique thing about Web.com is that it's a people business. David Brown, who owns the company, has this mission in life, which is to help to bring technology to small businesses. And the way we do that is by combining best of technology with the people that can help you to do it. And I'm in the World Domination Department at Web.com, and our objective is to go around the world and help people who are taking the flame of digital out to small businesses and work with them to accelerate that. So it's a partnership approach, it's a collaboration approach, and we believe that together, working with publishers such as yourselves, we have the opportunity to change the world. So that's what I'm about, and I know that's what a lot of you guys are about too. Web.com does a whole bunch of things. There's all sorts of services that we offer, from SEO to SSL to anything that you can imagine. I'm not going to talk about all that. I mean, a lot of our partners now, we've worked them up the stack, and whether they use services from Web.com or other collaborative partners that we have, we can unveil that suite of services, but you have to do that over time, and you have to do that in a methodical way. Otherwise, you're just going to confuse everybody. So this session is about mobile. It doesn't need me to tell you that the world has gone mobile. All of you with your phones, checking internet and everything else are doing that now. But Mr. Plant has a good quote, and I'm just putting that back up on the screen from what he just said. For millions of people in developing countries, specifically in Africa and Asia, the first engagement with online is through the mobile. And that's a crucial point. If you're going out to a small business and trying to sell them services and showing them a nice, shiny website and everything else, and everything they do is via a mobile phone, you've got to start that as the point of the conversation. Or you don't have to, but if you do, you're going to get some success. And we've got some huge success to share with you today. I'm going to throw up some stats just to give you a sense of what's going on in different countries around this area. So in Cambodia, where we're sitting here, you've got 15 million in the population. 7 million are using the internet. 27 million mobile subscriptions. There's something funny with the maths there, right? Look at this one. Indonesia, 262 million, 371 million mobile subscriptions, and 132 million people online. I'm not going to talk about social, mobile social. These figures speak for themselves. Malaysia, 30 million people with 42 million mobile subscriptions. So the point is, if you can take your digital transformation model and start in the place where 1.5% of the population, 150% of the population are, that's a pretty good story. Thailand, 68 million with 90 million mobile subscriptions. So the growth of internet users across the world is huge. The global average is 10%. If we just look up at the top end, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand are in this top stack. I'm going that way because I'm looking at the screen here, but it's over there, right? Mobile share of web traffic. Again, looking at the figures, you've got South Africa, which is what the case study I'm going to talk about today. You've got Indonesia up there, Thailand up there, UAE. It's highly feasible that if you start to plan your entire digital strategy around mobile first right now, you will catch and ride the wave. And you're not going to lose out. If you're the ones going and taking mobile out to market in the right way, you'll be the ones looking back, like the comment that was made about Facebook. People are accessing Facebook on their mobiles. So mobile at the heart of the opportunity is what this is about. And many businesses are still not mobile. This is a little stat from medium.com. Okay, it's 2016, so it will have changed. It's about SMBs. It's a global survey. 10% with no website, 30% responsive website, and 59%. In fact, I don't think it's global. I think it's a US one, but I'll go into more detail on here. My argument is, if you can use the mobile revolution to drive your evolution, I made that up, by the way, it's going to help. So, without further ado, let's talk about a case study. This is Tabo, a good friend now, worked with Paul for many years and invited Paul to consult with him. And this quote is from Tabo. We at Trudon have been on the transformation journey from being a fully print media company over the last 8 years, and this process has been slow. When you've got print guys going out there selling print and watching their customer base drop because the proposition they had on digital was there, they were offering them websites, they were offering them all the things that everyone thinks they need to be offering, but the guy's sitting there saying, look, I don't want print, I certainly don't want that, but I'm not ready to buy a website from you right now. What are you going to do? If it's not in your box, what are you going to do? Because you can't force the guy to have it. So these guys were losing customers. And that's the biggest issue you've got, is if you're not going to catch them at that moment in time, which is your prime opportunity, given the relationship they have with you as a publisher, given the history and the trust they have with you, if you can just get them to start on the web, yeah, it doesn't have to be the full, shiny, singing, dancing thing. If you've got that beginning, then you've got a journey to go on. But if you lose that moment, there's going to be 20 other people behind with an offering to come in the door. So that's why this is such a crucial point. And Tabo says, through our partnership with Web.com, we finally found a product, Webcard, which fast-tracks our transformation process. And it's a true story. In the last 8 weeks, we've knocking on 3,000 units from a standing start. And I'm going to talk about some of the stats. But this is a similar market in South Africa. You've got 55 million, you've got 79 million on the mobile. 48% of them don't have a web presence, and 95% of them are not mobile responsive. Even if they do have a website, if it's not mobile responsive, you need to be able to solve for that problem. You don't have to replace their site because their 12-year-old son spent ages building it. So you don't want to do something and say, hey, take it away. But if you can give them a little code to put on it and it can go friendly on a mobile, it's the first step. So this is what we've done. Again, that's more stats about South Africa in terms of share of web traffic by device. I don't want to bore you too much with that. I'm going to play you a rather kooky video, which is very American because I work for Web.com. So don't laugh, but listen to this.
Welcome to Web.com. Meet your free digital business card. Once you claim him, he'll start working with you to promote your business online. The more you give him, the more you can do to spread the word about your business until he blasts off to connect you with customers both locally and around the globe. Your business card is here to help you grow your business from the ground up. If you don't already have a website, he will get you online. If you have a website, he will help you promote it. Or with the help of the team at Web.com, he can create a brand new website for you. That's not all. He can hunt down incorrect info and fix it, set up and manage your social media presence, and much more. With your Web.com business card, you'll skyrocket to success. What are you waiting for? Claim your free Web.com business card today, and let's get working.
Okay, so we're not going to be playing that ad at the Super Bowl this time, but the point is, it's talking about taking them on that journey and all of the different services you can stack up. And we've got a branded version of this video going out with Trudon, and we can translate it into other languages and with other partnerships. And the video is really talking about that story, getting them to put their basic information online, getting them to see that information online, and then walking them up the ladder. So what is a web card? It's basically, it's a free digital business card that you can put on there with your core details. If you don't have a website, it's an immediate starter presence. You can point a domain name. If you do have a website, you can link from the card to your website, and there's some backlink opportunity, and you can share your details. There's a companion app. With Trudon, we set up a URL, webcards.yellowpages.co.za, which is a simplistic portal, fully responsive, and all that the sales reps have to do, or all the business has to do, is type the name into the box and click, and you're immediately in this very simplistic editor zone. So every single conversation you have with every customer, you can immediately create a web presence. What we've also done is taken the data from the listings and actually pre-created the cards. So you can genuinely stand up there in your territory and say, we've put every business online, we've made them all mobile, and this is a journey that we can take you on. Here's some examples, because one of the key things about this is actually how little information you need to get something off the ground. Motherwell Hardware, MaxSave, they've got their address, they've got their phone number, they've got a one-sentence thing which actually appears to be their address again, and then hardware and retail with a map. And they've bought the URL motherwellmax.co.za. So the experience of that was securing their brand by securing the domain name and putting it on there. And you know what? When Motherwell Hardware says, I'd quite like to have a different color of this, or can it have more pages? Boom, you're into your upsell pitch. And we've done integrations with a bunch of different partners. So with Webs Planet, with Mono, we've done plugins to different builders, so you can instantly press these buttons and go straight in to build these websites. Sherman Oosthuizen, I hope that's right. They've actually got a logo on there. Again, attorneys, civil law. These guys have added a bit more information. Harcourts is another lawyer. They've actually put a bunch of videos on there. They've got a bunch more information. Paul Plant Wines, the first web card in South Africa. paulplantwines.co.za. How long did that take you to build, Paul? Right, 5 minutes. He went from zero, no presence, to having a working business card he can share, and he's already done some business on it, because I was there in the restaurant when he was showing the card and sold a bunch of wine. One of the new pieces of technology that's come out, I mean, you guys might have been exploring it already, is Google Accelerated Mobile technology. That's really exciting. It's a protocol which structures the the UI and allows it to be served more rapidly on mobiles. It helps you with SEO. So the new version of the card that's coming out is fully AMP ready and is a sideways swipe approach. So this is just a little vision of the new design that's coming out this month. Alongside the card, because of course one of the other issues is, if someone wants to edit their information, oh God, I need to go and log in and get my keys and do all this and do all that. And that's another barrier to entry. No matter how many times the salesperson can say, yeah, don't worry, we'll set you up on your DIY site. If you want to make any changes, it's really easy. You just grab content here and do this and do that. They're not going to do it. If we can tell ourselves that right at the beginning, then we've got an idea of the reality of things. So this card allows you, this app allows you to simplistically edit the information on the fly. It's also got a new piece of technology which we, one of the pointers about the Apple Maps technology is this importance of having the correct latitude and longitude and being able to put the front door into the information so that you can facilitate correct navigation. Now, a lot of the ways that this is traditionally done is taking an address and trying to retro-create the lat and long from the address. Now, you try doing that in Cairo, right, and send the address over to Google Maps or whatever, the lat and long is not going to come back. You have to put the lat and long into Google Maps to get it. So built into the functionality is this thing. I'm going to try a live demo now, which is incredibly dangerous. Let's see what happens. I've got the app here, and if we can go to... I actually also used the Webcard myself as a personal business card. I've shared it with a lot of you. So if we scroll down a little bit, Lynn, that's me with my kids. Scroll, there's the map. Okay, here's a drum roll moment. So I've got this thing. I'm pressing set map pin here. I actually contemplated doing this last night when we were driving off into the darkness. I thought I'd leave the lat and long last seen at this spot. Okay, I now have a button saying stand in your location, stand at the center of your premises, position now. So I'm pressing that. It's found where we're sitting here, right down to the exact met point. I'm pressing confirm position. And this is now writing the latitude and longitude up to the cloud. And if you click refresh here, don't tell me it's going to work. Drum roll. Oh. Go. Oh dear, it didn't work. Hang on. Go. I think you might have to zoom back out. Don't you just hate it when things don't work? Oh, well, there you go. It didn't work. What can I do? I think... Yeah, it might be. Or maybe Nokia Maps on Cambodia is rubbish. Anyway, it worked on here. Trust me, I'll show you later it worked. Let's move on so we don't lose the time. I had a 50-50 chance there of it working, guys. You know, you've got to hand it me for trying. Okay, so thank you very much. You don't often get that. Well, it worked on the phone. But just the point, also built into the app, you can share the card on Facebook. You can share it on WhatsApp. So we've actually, this is some of the stats about the most social media platforms, Facebook, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, YouTube. We're not plugged into QQ and WeChat, but I'm going to be looking into that one. But the top social media is integrated into the app, which again allows you to take that to your customers. How did we position this in South Africa? We had the simplistic self-service portal. We had the pre-populated cards from the listings, and we're offering a package which is $100 or $10 a month. We did use we use a 2-month free offer, but actually 50% of the time they're not even taking it up. The guys are just selling it straight off the bat. And then we have a range of one-click upsells integrated into third-party services. So you can take that content, click a button, and push it up. I'll talk about that in a second. These are some real figures, and I love my own products, right? Absolutely, but I have never seen anything like a cold calling campaign where 11% of the decision makers are converting to sale. And that's stats which are incredible. We got a 44% contact rate, of which 38% DMC. So 4% of the cold base converted, 11% of the DMC. And this is real stats, which has resulted in us now ramping this up dramatically in South Africa and going for hundreds of thousands of these cards in that territory. Because being able to take your cold base and convert that into a digital play is a huge opportunity. And if you don't do it, then someone else is going to. So these are real feedback from the salespeople. Once a customer sees the web card, it's an easy sell. Even customers who are fully functional site love the card. It's perfect for SMEs. The other thing is you can tailor the web card features. If you don't fill in particular bits of information, they just don't appear. So it's incredibly simplistic and responsive about what the information that wants to be shared for a customer. I'm not going to read that. In fact, I'll share that with you guys because there's not enough time. But basically, this is the outbound call center who we use to drive some of the bigger volume stuff. We're now rolling this out with them in the US and in Australia because it's literally a mathematical equation now of how many heads can we have on the phone and where's the data pouring in the top end in order to generate these leads. Now, coming on to the important part of this, because the web card is not a panacea. The web card, as I said, is the first step on the journey. The key point about it is you're then opening the digital value staircase, so you can move them up the stack from the web card up into a fully fledged website. So, as I said, we've got these integrations. You want to plug in your web card and then go into a Web's Planet site, you can do that. You want to plug in your web card and accelerate mono, you can do that. Then you've got listings management. You've got guys here from Uberall, fantastic outfit, who are doing the syndication and allowing you to get onto those maps. We can drive that structured data straight into Uberall. We've got integrations with Yext. I think Robert's here from Navads, so taking that stuff and putting it onto the GPS. All of these functions are products which all of my friends and colleagues have got out there, and we can help you to accelerate your sales of those things. So that's the exciting thing. This truly is collaboration, which we had the shout out there from Purnani yesterday. Then you move further up the stack. What about video? Of course, you can create videos. We've got a one-click video product which allows you to just give a simple bit of information and a nice professional voiceover. Again, I don't have enough time to talk into all of it. It's already down at 0. So the point is you can go up this stack and use the ladder. I just want to talk briefly one last thing about driving response, because a lot of you guys are selling push and pull campaigns on Facebook and Google, and that's fantastic. There are a lot of people that can't buy that because they don't have the relevant web presence. So one of the really exciting things is you can walk into any customer and immediately start running them campaigns on Google or Facebook using the web card as an automated landing page. And we've got some great technology there. We're working with Sandy, the guys at Matchcraft. We've done some really interesting integrations to be able to allow you to drive call campaigns or use those web cards as landing pages. And on Facebook, you know, we've already got you out here talking about some fantastic things they can do. It's about facilitation. So, stepping stones to digital success. Digitize your listings database. Take that data and put it online. Empower your salespeople with the tools to be able to wow the customer straight there. And then engage with that base, don't lose them to someone else, and plug in a bunch of leading product partners. And I've got some great partners out here which we'd love to come and show you how we can make these things work. Because the opportunity is truly now for you guys to become the gateway to the digital future of your customers. I get very overexcited and emotional about this, but it's absolutely true. The loyalty that you've enjoyed for years is still yours for years to come if you can be with them at that moment, that pivot moment. So the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. It's a good point. Make sure you're the one that takes your customer on that single step to online. Okay? Thank you.
All right. James, is there anyone have a quick? There we go. We got one over here. Do we have a microphone?
James, I'm just curious, knowing your passion for structured data, where do you think that's going?
Structured data. Well, the web is becoming structured data. Things like the knowledge graph that's happening out there, what Google's trying to do with the info sheets, it's absolutely fundamental that you start to structure your customer data, because if you don't map yourself to the prevailing schemas, and you don't have to make it all up yourselves, if you take something like schema.org, which is an open source methodology for schema, you will start to find yourself actually appearing in these searches. The point about structured data is that very soon the web is going to be just a simplistic engine directly between you and the answer. And the opportunity here is for you to be the arbiters of that answer. So my point about digitizing listings is getting the information stored and then applying this information. You don't have to fill the whole schema out, but start with the beginning and then work with your customer on the journey of extending the schema will put you at the heart of the message. I believe it's all about structured data. You know that, Sandy. But this is the opportunity for us to actually fill in the schema. So thanks for the question. Anyone else? I can see you're all stunned into silence.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm curious about something. The web card, you were talking about emerging markets, with relatively low penetration of responsive sites. What about in a market where relatively high penetration of website and at least relatively high responsive sites? Is the proposition different for web
Well,
cards?
it's interesting actually, because even in well-penetrated markets of websites, there's still a very low penetration of responsive sites.
Right.
That is definitely the second wave. So we find ourselves, the card is being positioned as a simplistic platform to promote your own website if you've already got one.
Mm-hmm.
But we are finding ourselves, there's definitely those three legs of the stool. If you don't have a site, it's a no-brainer. If you do have a site and it's not responsive, it's a very easy way to get responsive. But those that do have a website are also using it, because it's quite convenient to be able to have the app, share the information, and just update that simple detail in a structured way.
Mm-hmm.
So it can work alongside those things, no question.
Okay. All right. Okay. Join me in thanking James.
Thank you.
Now it's my turn. I normally am just